Parents, what's your best example of reverse psychology on your kid that actually worked? I had split custody with my ex, and when my daughter was around 9, she visited every other weekend. I was working 2 jobs and barely scraping by, but she was so emotionally needy after the divorce, not blaming her, it was brutal for everyone, that she constantly begged for more of everything. It didn't matter what. She could be eating a happy meal and still be asking for Starbucks, toys, clothes, whatever she saw other kids with. The worst part was how she'd compare everything to what her mom could afford. Mom bought me the new iPhone case, or Mom's taking me to that expensive restaurant next week. It was like she was testing whether I loved her as much as her mom did based on how much money I spent. I finally realized she just felt empty inside, and getting more stuff wasn't going to fill that hole. The divorce had shattered her sense of security, and she thought material things could somehow prove she was still loved and wanted. So on her next visit, I handed her $150 in cash, which was honestly a huge chunk of my budget, and told her it was our complete weekend fund for food, activities, and anything else she wanted. I said she was in complete control of it. I even bought her a little purple wallet to carry it in, and she was so excited to have her own money. We sat down with a notebook and planned out the entire weekend, how many meals we'd need, what activities she wanted to do, how much everything would cost. She wrote it all down in her careful 9-year-old handwriting, calculating totals like a little accountant. At first, she thought she was rich. She wanted to go to this fancy brunch place she'd seen on Instagram that cost $25 per person. Then she wanted to go to the mall, the movies, get her nails done, buy a new outfit. When we added it all up, she'd spent $180 before we even got through Saturday morning. I watched her face change as she realized the math didn't work. "But I really want to do all of this," she said, looking confused. I told her that was fine, but once the money was gone, that was it. No more from me. If we ran out of food money, we'd eat whatever was in my pantry. The first weekend was a disaster. She blew $60 on brunch, another $40 at the nail salon, and by Saturday evening, we were eating peanut butter sandwiches because she'd spent the grocery money on a crop top she absolutely had to have. She cried when she realized we couldn't go to the movies like she'd planned. But here's where it got interesting. Instead of giving in like I usually did, I stuck to the rule. We spent Sunday playing free games at home, and she went back to her mom's with $3 left and a hard lesson learned. The second weekend, she was more careful. She budgeted $30 for meals, $50 for one activity, and tried to save the rest. But she still made mistakes, spent $25 on movie theater candy, and then couldn't afford the popcorn she really wanted. She sat through the entire movie watching other kids eat popcorn while she had nothing. By the third weekend, something clicked. She started researching prices before we left the house. She'd look up restaurant menus online, compare movie ticket prices, even check if there were any free events happening in town. She discovered the dollar store and was amazed that she could buy nail polish there for $1 instead of $15 at the salon. The transformation was incredible to watch. She went from this impulsive, demanding kid to someone who would stand in Target for 10 minutes debating whether a $12 lip gloss was really worth it. She started asking questions like, is this something I need or just something I want? One weekend, she managed to have such a good time while spending only $90 that she went home with $60 in her wallet. She was so proud of herself, showing me how she'd found a cheaper restaurant that was actually better. Years later, she thanked me for this and said it completely changed how she thought about money and love.